Oh, sorry. Hey, how y'all today? Otho Gold is sitting here thinking about nastiness. And I'm not talking about sex now. I'm talking about hygiene and basic things like housekeeping. And men especially have a tendency to be really nasty human beings. I don't know what it is about us when we were growing up. It seems like so many men didn't have to make up their bed. They didn't have to wash their own clothes. They didn't have to wash dishes. They didn't develop a sense of responsibility about basic housekeeping and hygiene and those kinds of things. And later in life, as they got older, they just didn't think it was important. Well, Otho, for example, I had a place in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I started collecting beer cans, and I had this idea about making a beer can table. So I collected all these beer cans and glued them together and made a table. Well, I was so infatuated with how pretty it was and how functional that I just kept accumulating the cans, and they were just scattered around all over the house. Well, over time, as people started coming over, they realized that my place was a dump. And they would actually bring their beer cans over and leave them at my house. Now, how nasty is that? And then, as I got older, I was driving a 75 Duster for a while, and it got to the point that when I was drinking beer, I just left all the cans down on the floorboard and drank and threw those cans in the back seat and the front floorboard, and they just piled up. And it got to the point that everyone who knew me, every time they got in my car, they were really grossed out because they had to, swipe beer cans out of the way to sit down. Well, I've got a story to tell you about my brother. Now, my brother lived with a couple boys down in South Arkansas, and they had this house that was directly across the street from a Church's Chicken. Now, these boys got to the point where they were eating Church's Chicken 2 or 3 times a day, and they just left the boxes lying around the living room. Now, you say, oh, that's okay, no big deal. But you get hundreds of boxes lying around the living room over time. That's nasty. I went over their house many times, and that living room was just covered, hundreds of chicken boxes, in addition to all the newspapers and other crap that they just left lying around. Now, to top that off, you can imagine what their kitchen looked like. That was the filthiest place that I had ever been in my entire life. Oh, dear God. You walked into that kitchen, dishes were piled up several feet high, covered with green mold. It was cluttered. It looked like a hoarder's kitchen. And then to top it off, there was a roach infestation. Roaches were everywhere. And they got to the point they didn't even go into that kitchen to use it. Well, there was a girlfriend of theirs they went to school with, came over with her mother, and they decided they were going to seal off that door because they didn't want them going into that kitchen and seeing that mess. Well, of course, when this girl and her mom came in, they were curious. And the girl pushed through all this tape that was on the door, and she peeked into that kitchen, and, roaches everywhere. She let out a squeal. It was a scream that you could hear for blocks. And she and her mom quickly left that house. They never came back. Now, this same brother, he was so nasty that when he washed clothes, he just threw all his clothes on the floor. And his bedroom was literally covered from wall to wall with clothing, dirty mixed in with the clean. And you know how he determined which clothes were clean when he came in and he wanted to change clothes? He had to pick everything up and smell it. It was the craziest thing to see my brother walking across the room, picking up clothes, smelling items to see which ones he could wear. Now, that is nasty, I tell you. I bet every one of you know someone who is nasty like that. But thank the Lord, oh, dear Jesus, that we grow up and hope to change our ways, because when we're young and crazy like that, it is just disgusting. Y'all have a good day.